A big-time star from PSG wants to come to Major League Soccer. No, I'm not talking about Lionel Messi. I'm talking about Neymar. That's right, the 31-year-old Brazilian has been linked with a move away from PSG. Fabrizio Romano reporting that Neymar has proposals from Saudi club Al Hilal, as well as Major League Soccer. Now, which team or teams are unspecified? Neymar has a contract with PSG through 2025. Good reminder from our friend Charlie Boehm, Major League Soccer secondary transfer window has closed as of August 2nd. Now, here's what Neymar had to say about MLS last year. I believe this was on a Twitch. Yes, a Twitch with the original Ronaldo. Quote, "I have some doubts about finishing my career in Brazil. I'd love to play in the US, actually. I'd love to play there at least for a season." Again, Herc, he's 31 years old. Is Major League Soccer the right spot for Neymar?
Yes. Now, hold on a second, okay? Neymar is still an exceptional talent, and he can play on many top teams around the world, top leagues around the world, okay? No doubt about that. He can continue playing at that level. The problem is these top teams around the world, the Real Madrids, if you will, the Barcelonas, the cities, the Arsenals of the world, that type of team is a little hesitant on taking a chance on a player like Neymar, even though he's only 31 years of age, even though his numbers are very good, even though for my liking, for the better part of a decade, when it's been Cristiano, when it's been Messi, it was Neymar just a tier underneath. All that said, they're hesitant. If you are MLS, and even if you are Neymar, it's just too much of a perfect fit. This is a man who doesn't seem like he cares for that line, like he wants to be in that type of environment, like he wants to be in the best team in the world and continually say, you know what, I want to be that guy. He used to still be that guy. He was to be one of the best players in the world, but he doesn't strike me like he wants that type of challenge. Major League Soccer now, with the inclusion of Messi, has opened a lot of doors, a lot of eyes. And if you can get him in the right market, the right team, 3 years before another World Cup, he's 31 right now. I'm not saying he'll play the next World Cup. I'm just saying maybe mentally, physically, you keep him spry enough to want to play in said World Cup. And I think he could do a lot of damage in Major League Soccer.
Yeah. Is MLS the right move for Neymar? Yes, absolutely, 100%. To your point, the big clubs in Europe don't want him anymore, and his ego's not going to let him go to a smaller club in Europe. So what does that leave him realistically? Saudi Arabia and Major League Soccer. And I think what we know about Neymar are two things. One, he doesn't need the money, right? Last year for PSG, just his salary was $40 million. He's been making around that for 6 years. That's how long he's been in Paris. So that plus his marketing, plus everything else that he made before at Barcelona and beyond, you know this guy doesn't need the money. On top of that, Neymar loves the lifestyle here. We know he's vacationed here. We know he loves the lifestyle in the United States. He told us, we just saw the quote, that he wants to play in Major League Soccer. I think from Neymar's perspective, MLS is perfect, Turk. I think the bigger question here, or maybe the better question, is Neymar the type of player that you want to go get if you're Major League Soccer? There's 2 points here. One, he is not Messi, right? He's not Messi off the field. He is not going to bring you in the big dollars. He's not going to bring you in the subscriptions. He is not that guy. So I don't think he gets the same treatment in terms of contract, potential ownership in the future, all that stuff. He is not Lionel Messi. It's super important to point that out. And any team that thinks he's going to give you that same type of off-field bump is crazy. And the other thing here is, Herc, he doesn't have Lionel Messi's attitude. In the same interview that he just did there with Ronaldo, if you go on a little bit further, he's kind of pressed on why he wants to go to MLS. And he says, oh, I get a 3-month vacation, referencing the long off season. I think there's a risk here with Neymar that there isn't, or that there wasn't with Messi.
I'm sorry, did you just say, are you trying to question Neymar's popularity and him moving the needle? Do you know he's like the third most followed?
Messi, yes. You don't give him a stake in the, you don't give him that TV money.
I'm not giving him a stake in Apple. I'm not giving him a stake in a team. Okay.
Okay.
There's 2 players in the history of the game that Major League Soccer could have done it to, maybe 3, and they got 2 of them. Okay. Neymar is like the 3rd most followed athlete on Instagram. He's got a massive following, man. And the amount of disrespect that Neymar gets from people like you is ridiculous. The man is a straight baller.
You just said the big clubs in Europe don't want him.
The big clubs in Europe, not Major League Soccer. You don't think he's going to come into Major League Soccer and just wreck Major League Soccer? Come on,
like
Seb.
Messi.
You saw Ricky Puig, who was being doubted come in and wreck Major League Soccer defenders.
You
You're
don't
not going to
think
say that
there's some risk
Neymar is
that
going to
this guy
have
will
a
show up
problem
in
with Major League
vacation
Soccer
mode
defenders,
in
Seb?
Major League Soccer when
Seb,
he was in
if you're
vacation
Major
mode
League
half
Soccer,
the time in Paris?
Listen to me. If you're Major League Soccer, you do what it takes to bring him here. It's a unique moment in time where you can have two of the best of their generations, one of the best ever, if not the best ever, playing alongside in the same league. If you can make this happen, you make it happen. From Neymar's perspective, it's perfect. You've already outlined beautifully why. And from the league's perspective, you do it. You will have to strike now while you can. Messi has opened up a world that you've not had before. This would be a lethal blow to those naysayers.
Okay. Real quick, before we talk about the teams, are you okay if MLS, because we know that the timing here doesn't really work out, right? He wasn't a free agent. He's not a free agent now, or wasn't free agent before the transfer window closed, so you can't just bring him in theory.
Well, you can still bring him in.
Is it worth MLS just breaking the rules?
Well, it's not breaking the rules because they can't break FIFA rules, right? It's not just breaking the rules. There are certain things you can do where he's employed by Major League Soccer, but he's not playing official games. He can be employed by you. You can loan him out elsewhere. He could even be here training like Julian Araujo was with Barça B, that type of deal. Okay, let's just say in a theoretical world, you can make it happen. You make it happen if you're Major League Soccer.
Where do you make it happen, Herc? Who should be the team first in line? Who has Neymar's discovering rights, or who should have them?
Well, L'Equipe, the French outlet has actually reported it's one of the two LA teams, all right? So let's forget about who I think, or the reports. No, let's forget the reports. Go with what I think, okay? It's got to be the LA Galaxy.
The real authority.
And now, listen for a second, okay? The LA Galaxy is borderline. They're bordering right now on being irrelevant in their own city, irrelevant in Major League Soccer. The winningest franchise in Major League Soccer is flirting with that. For the better part of the decade, they've not done jack. They've not done anything. And the one thing they had going is the biggest of stars, the biggest of players in the world wanted to come to the Galaxy. It wasn't LAFC. It wasn't Inter Miami. It used to be the Galaxy and only the Galaxy. Now they have options. Now they have choices. You have to strike if you're the LA Galaxy. This is the move you need to make your club relevant again, within North America. It's not been good enough on the field or off the field. The Chicharito Hernandezes of the world, those are great. They bring market value. But if you can get a player like Neymar, which is as close as you can get to a Messi or a Cristiano right now in this market, realistically, that's what you do. You have to do it.
I respect you. I respect L'Equipe. But let me just think of a world outside Los Angeles for a minute, because what you say makes sense. The LA Galaxy definitely need a big splash, and I don't think you could do much bigger right now that Messi's off the table, than bringing Neymar. That would be huge for the LA Galaxy. But if I'm thinking about it from a league perspective, you have the LA markets doing okay. LAFC is doing some big things. You got nothing going on in the New York market. Between the New York Red Bulls and New York City right now, you have absolutely 0.0 interest in Major League Soccer in one of the biggest media markets in the United States. I don't know what has to happen, but something has to happen in the Big Apple or MLS. You talk about relevance, Herc. If you're irrelevant in New York, that's a big problem, because you know where MLS headquarters are. That's right. They're in New York. I think New York City FC is the perfect place because, one, we know New York City FC has deep, deep pockets. They could afford a project and a player like Neymar. It might help them on the road to a new stadium, which, of course, they know. So if I were looking at it from a league perspective and I could inject one market with the superstar, I wouldn't waste any time. I'd put Neymar in New York City with New York City FC. However, Herc, in our production meeting, you brought up another team in Florida, not Inter Miami. You don't want to see him team up with Messi. Where do you want to see him go?
I think it just makes a lot of sense if it wasn't a market like LA and if it wasn't a market like New York, it has to be Orlando City. It makes perfect sense with the demographic, the Brazilian demographic in Orlando, the relationship with ownership to Brazilian superstars, the players that they've brought in the past, and you already want to make a rivalry game because what we saw from Inter Miami and Orlando, they don't like each other. It's organic. Now bring in another element, another superstar to combat Messi. Messi has his nemesis, if you will, and it happens to be one of his best friends in the world. It's Neymar. I love the idea of Inter Miami, Orlando City being relevant with Messi and Neymar. From a marketing standpoint, it makes a ton of sense. From a geography standpoint, it makes a ton of sense. The demographic is there, and it'd be a place that I think Neymar would be like, yeah, I don't mind living in Orlando. I could see that.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Get him over to Disney World. I'm sure that'll seal the deal.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.